Why is it that whenever people talk about the revolutionary coups in West Africa in recent times, they never mention the one that occurred in Gabon? Well, it's pretty simple. It's because it was never revolutionary. It was simply another case of moving power from one power-hungry leader to another. The worst part is that the Gabon leader fooled everyone into thinking that he was a revolutionary. But now, the truth is out. And guess what? Recent reports revealed that General Brice Nguema, the military leader of Gabon, has decided to hold on to power by dropping his military uniform and becoming a politician. To the surprise of the citizens of Gabon, General Nguema has decided that he doesn't want to be a soldier anymore. In this video, we will analyze his decision and contrast it with some of the military leaders of the Sahel region. A few days ago, the transitional leader of Gabon announced that he intends to run for president in the upcoming election on April 12, 2025. General Brice has been ruling Gabon since he took over the leadership of the country in a coup in 2023. Usually, according to the constitution in Gabon, transitional leaders are restricted from running for elections. However, a new constitution passed in November exempted Nguema from this law, raising concerns about his true intentions. In a speech delivered on Monday in the capital, Libreville, Nguema, who turned 50, stated, "After careful reflection and in response to your many appeals, I've decided to be a candidate in the April 12th presidential election." The presidential candidate went on to outline his vision for the future of Gabon, describing a Gabon rising from the ashes. He also pledged to address the country's pressing infrastructure challenges. General Brice further emphasized that he was a builder and appealed for the strength and courage of the people to help rebuild the nation. Now, in order to represent his candidacy, General Brice has abandoned his general's uniform while running for election. This was made known by the Facebook account for his communications, Infos CTRI Officiel. At the end of the election period, he will again wear his military uniform while awaiting the results, it said, adding that he would no longer wear the uniform if elected. But if he is not elected, he will return to the barracks. However, word on the streets of Gabon suggests that General Brice had already stepped down from his military role. This is quite interesting, and we will come back to it much later. Now, with the elections getting closer, General Brice has made several public appearances in recent days, including a large military rally and a church service where doves were released in his honor. Despite his strong military profile, he has sought to present himself as a leader in touch with the people. To appeal to younger voters, nearly half of whom are under the age of 20, he recently distributed free concert tickets to a popular local artist, L'Oiseau Rare. In the upcoming election, he would contest against former Prime Minister Alain-Claude Billy Benzi, considered his main rival. Other notable contenders include Ninga Zenaba, the only woman, and Stephanie Germain Iloko Busengui, a former member of Bongo's Gabonese Democratic Party. In his campaign, Nguema pledged to tackle Gabon's chronic power cuts and its growing national debt, which stands at 70% of the country's GDP. Gabon's debt, which amounted to approximately $12 billion in 2023, has been a key issue for the country, which is rich in natural resources such as oil, timber, and manganese. If Nguema eventually wins the election, he will rule Gabon for the next 7 years and even contest another election for a second term. This was part of the referendum adopted in November last year, which sets the presidential term at 7 years, renewable once. Now, Western media have termed President Traore a power-hungry dictator after his transitional government was extended for another 5 years. But if you observe closely the situation in Gabon and Burkina Faso, you would notice a huge difference. You see, before Traore's transitional government was extended, he organized a meeting with all the necessary stakeholders in the country to deliberate on whether or not he should step down. The interesting thing is that even before the meeting, thousands of Burkinabe citizens both within and outside the country came out in masses to show their support to Traore. It is very rare for citizens in African countries to come out en masse to demand that the current ruling government continue to rule them. In fact, in the last 2 decades, it has never happened. But this was exactly what happened in Mali last year. As reported by the African Initiative correspondent, organizers of the rally believe that the elections are unacceptable to maintain peace in the country and are asking for changes to the constitution to fully liberate and revive the country. We don't want to hear about another president. We don't want elections. After all, since the death of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso has suffered under the rule of incompetent and greedy leaders who care only for their interests and that of the West. But Traore's leadership changed everything. Now, a few days after the rally, the people gathered again to show support for Traore during the meeting he had with stakeholders. At the end of the meeting, it was announced that the transitional government of Ibrahim Traore has been extended till 2029. Guess what? While the stakeholders were deliberating in the conference hall, hundreds of Burkinabe youths gathered outside the conference hall, demanding that Captain Traore lead them to the next 10 years. However, at the end of the day, a spokesperson for the youth boldly stated without mincing words that they would settle for nothing less than 10 years. The spokesperson also added that if the meeting ended without an agreement that ensured that Traore would continue to rule for the next 5 years, then the youths would make sure that the meeting started again. Although the statement was lighthearted, it conveyed the desire of the people, and thankfully, the demands of the people were met as Traore is expected to rule for the next 5 years. This is exactly what democracy means, a type of government where the demands of the people are heard. But this was not the case in Gabon. Initially, when the Nguema came to power, Gabonese citizens took to the streets, excited and happy with the new development. They felt that a new revolutionary government, just like the one in Burkina Faso, had risen to power. At the time, we thought so too. You see, General Brice had deposed the more than 40 years rule of the Bongo family. For more than 5 decades, the Bongo family has established itself in the government of Gabon through patronage, offering lucrative positions to associates and extended family. Their rise to power began in December 1967, when Bongo's father, Albert Bernard Omar, was backed by France to take over as president following the death of the country's independence leader, Léon Mba, who died of cancer after being boosted back into power following a coup in 1964. Throughout his stay in power, Omar won all the series of elections despite allegations of manipulation. He abolished the country's runoff system and replaced it with single-round voting, as well as imposed a one-party system. Fueled by corruption and greed, Omar's regime circulated the oil wealth of the country among the elite to ensure loyalty. He expanded the Bongo family's employment opportunities into the military, parliament, and state commerce. In fact, Marie-Madeleine Imborantsuo, the current head of the Constitutional Court, was Omar's ex-lover. With their accumulated wealth, the Bongo family lived in luxury. In 2007, a French police inquiry discovered that the Bongo family possessed 39 residences in France, 70 bank accounts, and 9 luxury cars totaling 1.5 million euros. Although at the time his lawyers argued that the assets were not acquired through his 20,000 euro per month income, but according to the United States Senate, from 2003 to 2007, Omar allegedly routed $100 million PDF in questionable funds through a New York City bank account. Despite the investigations made by France about the wealth of the Bongo family, France continued to be a close ally of the Bongos. According to François Conradi, a political analyst at Oxford Economics, the Bongos invested money into French politics for many years. Robert Bourgi, a Parisian lawyer who advised former French President Jacques Chirac and his Prime Minister Dominique de Villepin, claimed he was given $20 million in cash by 5 African heads of state, including Omar, to boost Chirac's election campaign. After Omar died in 2009, his son Ali Bongo took over the helm of leadership in Gabon. Like his father, each of his 3 election wins has been highly disputed, which led protesters to set fire to the country's parliament building after his re-election in 2016. 2 years later in 2018, Ali Bongo suffered from a serious stroke, which led to him not appearing in public for nearly a year. It was while he was recuperating in Morocco in January 2019 that some soldiers back in Gabon attempted to unseat him, but the coup attempt failed. After his recovery, Ali began to make some political changes. He removed his sister Pascaline from her position as High Representative of the Head of State, and he demoted his half-brother Frederick Bongo from his position as Head of State to military attaché in South Africa. Brice Lacrouche Alihanga, a high-ranking French Gabonese official, was arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2021 as part of Bongo's anti-corruption operation. Lacrouche Alihanga was once a powerful chief of staff, but he was charged with corruption and imprisoned after allegedly displaying too much ambition during Ali Bongo's recovery period. Following the dismissal of Lacrouche, Bongo nominated his eldest son Noureddin as his advisor, with the title of Coordinator of Presidential Affairs. Meanwhile, during all these times, military coups were happening elsewhere in Africa, but the Bongo family remained unaffected because they bought off opponents and moved relatives to strategic positions in the government. Nonetheless, Bongo's efforts to protect his government from a coup may have aided Nguema, the current military junta of Gabon's ascension to power. When Bongo took over from his father in 2009, he fired Nguema, the late president's assistant. However, following the 2019 coup attempt, Nguema, who had been working as an attaché at Gabonese embassies in Morocco and Senegal, was recalled and appointed chief of the Republican Guard. So why would someone who publicly promised to support his president with honor and allegiance just a few months before the coup turn around and lead the drive to depose him? The recent military intervention in Gabon that supposedly ended the Bongo family's 56-year reign was a long time coming. In fact, its origins can be traced back to 2018, when former President Ali Bongo Ondimba suffered a stroke. The political problem caused by Bongo's illness, as well as the ambiguous method in which he retained power through close family members throughout his convalescence, exacerbated tensions within power circles and created two groups. One group consisted of detractors who urged his resignation and tried to undermine the Bongo dynasty's hold on power in the oil-rich Central African country. These critics were largely instrumental for Albert Ondo Ossa's emergence as a consensus opposition presidential candidate in the 2023 elections. The other group consisted of members of the ruling party Démocratique Gabonese, a party founded by late President Omar Bongo. This group included party members who continued to perform an institutional charade of cabinet meetings and rubber stamp legislation to cover Ali Bongo's alarming absence and incapacity. The group also comprises influential clan members within the Bongo dynasty, jockeying for rank and fortune amid the uncertainties surrounding Ali Bongo's health. Meanwhile, during this period, Sylvia Bongo Ondimba, Ali Bongo's wife, is believed to have grown in influence and was preparing her son, Noureddin, to succeed his father. All these tensions accumulated to the coup that occurred on August 30th in Gabon. Political analyst Francois Conradi noted that the events that unfolded could be the result of internal disputes among Gabon's elites and extended Bongo family members. He stated that the coup was the wider elite in Gabon, preserving itself by getting rid of the very narrow elite made up of Ali Bongo, his son Noureddin, and his wife Sylvia. Before the coup, there was little confidence that Ali Bongo Ondimba would lose his third re-election bid. His party controlled the legislative, regional, and local administrations, as well as the judiciary and the state security apparatus. During the elections, voting was conducted under an internet shutdown, while the arrests of local election monitors were decried by the opposition as fraudulent. A slew of last-minute legislative changes helped Bongo's party as well, and when the results were revealed, Gabon's electoral board stated that Bongo had received 64% of the vote, while his major opponent, Albert Ondo Ossa, received 30%. Obviously, due to the election results, the people of Gabon were going to protest for a recount of the votes and make so much noise and international focus. And because the Bongo family's elite did not want this, they decided to organize a coup that would kill two birds with one stone. This means that the coup would first assure the removal of Ali Bongo, whose poor health was already a concern, and his close family. Furthermore, the coup ensured that power remained in the hands of the Bongo family, as General Brice Nguema, Bongo's cousin and a direct product of the Bongo clan, was instantly placed as interim president. Some experts also believe that the coup was an attempt to thwart public protest plans that were brewing in support of Ossa. This echoes the comment made by opposition leader Albert Ondo Ossa, who told the Associated Press that the coup was a palace revolution, engineered by the Bongo family to retain their power. Aside from Ali Bongo's illness, which is the root cause of the military intervention, another factor that encouraged the military intervention in Gabon is the contagion effect of recent successful coups in Africa. The series of coups in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger appeared to have demonstrated to Gabon's military that not only was a successful coup possible, it was acceptable. And true to their thought, after the military takeover, the people of Gabon came out in Libreville and danced in the streets. Shortly after the coup was announced, dozens of the former president's friends were detained, including his 31-year-old son, Noureddin Bongo Valentin, who has been charged with high treason and corruption. Images on national television have shown him and other close Bongo loyalists standing in front of luggage allegedly stolen from their houses. While all these point out that Nguema is a different breed from the Bongo clan, a source from BBC, however, says that all this is largely for show. He stated that Nguema simply wanted to send a strong message to the population by arresting the president's son, and that the coup is very much a continuation of the same system, just with a different name. At the time, we didn't take note of this, but now that he has decided to run for elections, there might just be some truth in this statement. As earlier stated, the coup in Burkina Faso was supported by the people, and Traore's government continues to be supported by the people. But in Gabon, this is not the case. The only time the people have publicly supported Nguema was that initial time. Interestingly, his decision to run for president has raised concerns in the hearts of the people of Gabon. But despite these concerns, Nguema still went ahead to change the constitution to enable him to run for president. Not only that, he has also stepped down from his military role. What does this tell you? It simply means that not only has he been planning this for a long time, but he also intends to win the election. In fact, in our own opinion, Brice Nguema will most likely win the elections. The reason is that he has the backing of the Bongo elite family. This was the whole reason for the coup in the first place. With Nguema in power, the Bongo elites would be in power for the next 14 years, and perhaps even more. What we are about to see is the rise of another Bongo ruling family. Now, it's not really a bad idea if a military leader decides to contest for an election. It has happened countless times in different African countries. In Burkina Faso, for instance, part of the agreement made during the national meeting last year agreed to amend the constitution in favor of President Traore in case he intends to contest for elections after his transitional rule comes to an end. For a leader like Traore, who has proven his commitment and passion for his country over and over again, it's certainly a welcome idea if he rules for a long time. But for a leader who is weak, greedy, and not concerned about the interests of the people, ruling for a long time is certainly a bad idea. This is because that leader would have more time to wreak havoc in the country. Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon under the leadership of the Bongo family are all good examples of what a long-ruling bad leader can do to a country. So we are apprehensive about the prospect of Brice Nguema as the civilian leader of Gabon. The fact is that he has not proven his commitment to his people as Traore has done. So the question is, are we about to see the rise of another Bongo family in Gabon? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel.